This is Unit 2, Day 6. So we're starting out here with two common forms of a line. So we have to dust our cobwebs here from back in our algebra days here. So slope-intercept form for a linear equation is y equals mx plus b. And if you read right here, it says where m is the slope, which is your average rate of change, and you know b is your y-intercept. So here's slope, and then this is y-intercept. Okay, point slope form. You have y minus y1 equals m, your slope, times x minus x1. Now remember, the y and the x stay in the equation, but you have these are opposite signs that are going to get plugged in there. Okay, so I'll do a couple examples of those in a minute, so you have to make sure you remember that those are opposite sides. All right, example 41 here. Consider a line whose slope is 5, so that means m is 5, their slope is 5, and which passes through the point -2, 8. Write the equation of this line in point slope form. So you're going to go up here if you need this, that's there. Okay, so this is your x, like x1, and this is your y, like y1, and you're going to substitute in. But don't forget, I just talked about this. So right now this x says -2, you would plug in +2. This says +8, you plug in -8. So it's going to be y minus 8 equals my m, which is 5, times x, switch your sign, x plus 2. So there's my slope-intercept form. Part B, write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Well, use what you just did in Part A, actually distribute and solve, and get it in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so I'm going to get my y minus my 8, and then I'm going to distribute that to 5x plus 10. Now to get y by itself, you're technically just adding your 8 to both sides. And I get y equals 5x plus 18. Okay, so you use Part A, slope-intercept form, point slope form, to get slope-intercept form. Example 42. Which of the following represents an equation for the line that is parallel to the given equation and which passes through the point 6, -8? All right, again, totally dusting cobwebs from algebra. You have to memorize parallel means they have the same slope. So in this example, the slope is 3/2, so it's going to be 3/2 as well. Okay, so looking at your choices, you know in point slope form, these are your slopes. And because it's parallel, it has to be the same. Therefore, I can eliminate choices 1 and 4 immediately. Okay. Now, passing through the point 6, -8. Remember, you need opposite signs when you plug it into point slope form. So you don't want the +6 for the x, like this one has down here. You want the opposite. So again, point slope form, y minus the opposite sign of y, which would be +8. And that's equal to your slope, which is 3/2 times x, and then an opposite sign of my +6 would be -6. So it looks like it's going to be choice 3. Question 43. A line passes through the points 5, -2, and 24. Determine the slope of this line in simplest rational form. Okay, formula for slope. Okay. y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Basically, know that that means subtract your y's over the subtraction of your x's. So ready? M equals. I usually say start with a template minus minus. Now look at your y's. It's -2 and 4. So you could do -2 minus 4 or 4 minus -2. It doesn't matter. So I'll go -2 minus 4. But because I picked the -2 first, you have to stay consistent and do 5 minus 20. So I get -6 over 15, -15. And a negative over a negative is positive, and 6 over 15 reduces to 2/5. So I just found that that's my slope. My slope is 2/5. Part B. Write the equation of a line in point slope form. Okay, so for point slope form, you need a point. So pick either point. Okay, you could use either point. So either make the choice to use 5, -2 or 24. I'm going to make the choice to use 24 just because I like all positives, but you'll still get the same result if you were to use the other ones as well. All right, and then I have to use that the slope is 2/5. So ready? y, opposite sign on the y, so minus 4, equals the slope, which is 2/5, times x, opposite sign, so it's minus 20. Okay? If you were going to use the other point, it would be y plus 2, opposite sign there, equals 2/5, same slope, parenthesis, and then x minus 5, because you need opposite signs on that point. Write an equation for this line in slope-intercept form. Again, I'm going to use part B to get part C. So I'm going to go y minus 4 equals 2/5 x. And then, remember, you're distributing. So it's going to be 2/5 times 20. And 2/5 times 20 results in a -8. Okay? If you don't trust that, just use your calculator. You're handing that out. Okay? And then I just have to add the 4 to both sides. And that results in y equals 2/5 x minus 4. So there's my slope-intercept form. Part D. For what x value will this line pass through a y value of 12? Okay, well, it's telling you right there, let y equals 12. So using the equation I just got in C, 12, that's my y, equals 2/5 x minus 4. You could get fancy and solve that, add 4 to both sides, and multiply by its reciprocal, 5/2, but just end solve that in the calculator. And when you end solve that in the calculator, you're going to get x equals 40. Okay, so from here, you just had to solve for x. All right, example 44. The graph of the linear function is shown to the right. Part A. Write the equation of this line in y equals mx plus b form. So to write any equation in slope-intercept form, you need to know m, the slope, and b, the y-intercept. Okay, so make sure you identify those. So my b is 1. How do I know that? Because look over here. The y-intercept, it's crossing over the y-axis at 1. Okay, and then slope, just count the motion. It's positive. It's going up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. So that means my slope is 2. So I know my m is 2. So to write that in slope-intercept form, it's y equals my m times my x plus my b. Okay, so y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, the next one, part B. What must the slope of the line perpendicular to, what must be the slope of a line perpendicular to the one shown? All right, you have to memorize that perpendicular means they have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, what does that mean in easy terms? If you have a slope of 2, the opposite reciprocal for perpendicular means to change the sign and flip it. So right now we have positive 2, so you know it has to be negative because it's got to be the opposite. And 2's reciprocal is 1/2. Okay, now you might say, where's that 1 coming from? Any whole number sitting over that imaginary 1. So we say positive 2 and negative 1/2 are opposite reciprocals. Okay, draw a line perpendicular to the one shown that passes through the point 1, 3. Well, if you come over here to the point 1, 3, it wants me to draw that perpendicular. I have to do a slope of negative 1/2, which we just found in part B. Negative 1/2 means go down 1 over 2, put a dot. Down 1 over 2, put a dot. And some of us can reverse that and go over 2, up 1. Over 2, up 1. And then you just connect that. And there's my perpendicular line. Okay? Part D, write the equation of the line that you just drew from point slope in point slope form. Okay, now remember, I have a slope that's negative 1/2, and it told me it had to pass through the point 1, 3. So ready? Y, opposite sign on the y, so y minus 3 equals the slope, negative 1/2 times x minus 1. Again, opposite signs when you plug it into point slope form. Part E, does the line that you drew contain the point 30, negative 15 justify? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to use that equation that we just wrote in part D, and we're going to plug this in for the x, 30 in for the x, and negative 15 in for the y. So negative 15 minus 3, is that equal to negative 1/2 times my x, which is 30, minus 1. Okay, you could use the calculator if you plug this all in the calculator as is. If it says true, then yes, it's a point on that line. If it says false, then it's not. Well, if you do the math, you're going to get negative 18 equals negative 14.5. That's not true. Therefore, no, 30 negative 15 does not satisfy the equation. So what does that mean? It doesn't contain that point. You would never find 30 negative 5 on that perpendicular line that we drew in. Okay, moving on here. Example 45, linear modeling. So basically the word problems now with linear equations. Dina was driving away from New York City at a constant speed. So constant speed is your change in your slope. 58 miles per hour. She started 45 miles away. Write a linear function that gives Dina's distance d from New York City as a function of the number of h hours she has driven. Now guys, don't forget, she's automatically 45 miles away from home. So you're definitely starting with a plus 45, but now it's 58 miles per hour. Okay, so it's 58h plus 45. And now we set that equal to d of h, because d is just the total distance that Dina has driven. Okay, so there's my linear. So instead of having y equals 58x plus 45, we have d of h equals 58h plus 45. Okay, part B. If Dina's destination is 270 miles from New York City, algebraically determine to the nearest tenth of an hour how long it will take her. So I want you to solve for h. Okay, so it's telling you the total distance is 270, and you set it equal to your 58h plus 45. You can end solve. If not, subtract 45 from both sides, divide by 58. You're going to get that it's approximately 3.9 hours. Okay, because again, you're just solving for h. It did say tenths, that's why I'm telling you 3.9. Okay, example 46. Evelyn is trying to model her cell phone plan. She knows that it has a fixed cost per month. So think about that. Every month, your cell phone carriers charge you a monthly fee regardless of how much data you use, regardless of how many calls you make. Okay, but it says she has a fixed cost per month along with a 15-cent charge per call she makes. In her last month's bill, she was charged $12.80 for making 52 calls. Create a linear model in point slope form for the amount Evelyn must pay, P, per month, given the number of phone calls she makes, C. Okay, so let's say, okay, so they kind of gave us an XY thing here. So if my X is representing number of calls, she made 52 calls, okay? So that's X is number of calls. And when when Evelyn made 52 calls, her total monthly cell phone bill was $12.80. So that Y is representing the cost. So that's like P of C, right? P is how much you're paying per month. Okay? All right, so now we're going to take that and put that in point slope form. So instead of saying Y, we're going to call it P of C. Okay, so Y is P of C. So P of C minus 12.80, because that's my Y value, opposite sign there, equals the slope. Okay, you're getting charged 15 cents per call. So the change is 15 cents. X minus 52. Okay, so there's my point slope. How much is Evelyn's fixed cost? In other words, how much would she have to pay for making 0 phone calls? Show how you arrived at that answer. Okay, so basically I'm going to take that equation that she just had up top. So I have P of C minus 12.80 equals 0.15 times X minus 52. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to solve and get P of C by itself. Okay, so before I could do that though, I'm going to distribute on that right side.